I really believe that Cardano can go to $3, $5, $7, $11, somewhere there at the top of this crypto bull market in 2025. And I want to show you how I got to that result and the main three things I'm looking at in order to get to this analysis. How can we know when to start peeling off and selling some ADA? How can we take some profits? How can we change our life with 100x? All these questions I want to answer in this video, and I want to figure out where ADA is going in the next year. In order to figure out where ADA is going, we're going to have to look at other things besides just the Cardano chart. So we're going to first look at what's going on with the US dollar, basically what's going on with the Bitcoin cycle and the monetary policy cycle, what is happening in those markets, because those are downstream effects that affect ADA's current price. After we look at the dollar and basically fiat currencies, then we're going to look at Bitcoin and what's going on with the Bitcoin chart, because ADA Bitcoin is a big determinator of what then happens to ADA USD. Lastly, we're going to look at ADA USD and figure out what in the world's going on with that chart. Is it holding support? Is it holding resistance? What is in the way from ADA going from 35 cents to $3.50 and 10xing from its current price? So these are all the things we're going to look at in this video. Also, all the things we're going to talk about in this video are really in line with my personal crypto 100x strategy. If you haven't downloaded that strategy yet, it's free in the description of this video. 7 steps to 100x your portfolio this cycle. So if that interests you, you get the free download, and I'll send you 7 emails explaining the entire process. But let's jump into ADA and figure out where in the world Cardano's going. If I were to help anyone predict any price of any crypto asset, the first thing I would want to look at is the current market conditions. Is the market going up? Is the market going down? Or are we unsure of where the market's going? In this case, I think the market is going up for 3 big cycles, basically. We have the Bitcoin halving cycle, which we are in the post-halving year. Bitcoin's kind of doing its thing, doing its Bitcoin dominance thing, and eventually, over the next few months, we would expect the market of crypto to flip more into an altcoin season, right? So the Bitcoin halving cycle is really right on track. There are things to look at where the Bitcoin halving cycle might be lengthening just a bit, but right now, we cannot invalidate the Bitcoin halving cycle. So real quickly, the Bitcoin halving cycle is still in effect. The 4-year cycle is still in effect. Bitcoin's been doing very well in the post-halving year, and we are getting to the point where dominance on a lot of alt Bitcoin pairs is starting to bottom out, and there can be potential to hedge into altcoins over Bitcoin. Second, after the Bitcoin halving cycle, after the Bitcoin 4-year cycle, we have the monetary policy cycle. Basically, this means, are governments lowering interest rates? Are they making money easier to get access to? And for the majority, like here in America where I live, the answer is yes. The federal government, after we have punched inflation in the face, the federal government has moved interest rates from 5.5% to now 5%. And there are theories that maybe in December we get another 50-point basis reduction, so that would bring the interest rate down to 4.5%. This makes the access to money, the access to capital, much easier. This is good for large private equity firms, people who want to get houses, people who want to get cars. It makes the access and the ability to get cash to buy loans or to buy things much, much easier. So this allows people to get more money than they would in a high interest rate environment, which then trickles down to more money being available, which then trickles down to more money in risk assets. If you're going to buy $1 million house and you have a 10% interest rate, you're going to pay a lot more in interest than if you have a 2% interest rate. In this scenario where you have a 2% interest rate, all that extra money that you are not paying to interest, you could put into investments or into vacations or into risk assets like crypto. So we have the Bitcoin halving cycle, which is in its prime. It's in the last year of the cycle. It's typically going to go up. We have the monetary policy cycle, which has just started the process of cooling interest rates down, right? We went through the 2023, 2022, early 2024 seasons of tightening interest rates, stagnating interest rates, and, kind of making the economy harder. Now it kind of seems like we're going for the soft landing and we're slowly reducing interest rates. Nobody thinks that they're going to get down to 1% and 2% again, but right now, maybe we can go from 5% to 4%, which is better for the economy, better for risk assets, better for crypto, better for Cardano. After that, the last cycle we want to look at as we set up this scenario for where ADA price is going is the global liquidity cycle. This is a 65-month rolling sine wave. And currently here in 2024, we are at the bottom of the sine wave. What does this mean? In 2021, we were at the top of the sine wave. Global liquidity is called M2, but global liquidity says this is all of the money in the system all around the world, right? For global goods, global commerce, global use. When we are at the top of the sine wave, that is a maximum global liquidity in the system, maximum amount of money in the system. Currently in 2024, we are at the bottom, but it is forecasted that in 2025, 2026, we could be at the top of the cycle again. This is another cycle pointing in the direction that more money is coming into the system, and more money is going to enter risk assets as it becomes more available in the system. So to set up this whole Cardano price prediction, we have Bitcoin halving cycle in our favor, we have monetary policy in our favor, and we have the global liquidity cycle in our favor. So that's what I see happening in the overall market, like the economy, the market, the stock market, everything that's going on. Those are the big cycles we should be watching out for, because those cycles trickle down into what's happening with the dollar, that trickles down into what's happening with Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin trickles down into what's happening with crypto like Cardano. Because of that, instead of just moving from the market cycles to ADA USD, I want to take a pit stop and look at the ADA Bitcoin chart. The ADA Bitcoin chart is very, very important because we need for Cardano to return more money to us than if we simply invested in Bitcoin. And the best way to explain this is, do you think it's a good idea to go buy Tesla stock when the S&P 500 can outperform Tesla? If you bought Tesla stock and it returned like a 5% return, and the S&P 500 returned a 20% return, you basically took on more risk with owning a single stock and you got less return. That's the same thing kind of happening between Bitcoin and ADA. Bitcoin is the S&P 500. It's the safest risk-free asset in crypto. If you want the safest asset in crypto, that's Bitcoin, and it returns a pretty good yearly return of 20 plus, 25 plus % even in bear markets. And so in order to hold Cardano, in order to hold ADA, we need that to outperform Bitcoin. Looking at the ADA Bitcoin chart, we can see that now, in my opinion, now is that time to make the switch. And I think many investors will switch from Bitcoin to ADA and move some Bitcoin to ADA because of this chart right here. This is the ADA Bitcoin chart on a weekly time frame. And there are three things I want to point out to you that are bullish to me about this chart. There's one bearish thing. So I want to cover all these things before we continue on into the ADA USD chart and really get our price prediction. The first big thing that ADA Bitcoin has going on for itself here is this pattern. You can see this blue line here. I drew out the pattern for you, but the pattern this cycle from 2021 to where we are 2024 is the same pattern that happened from the top of 2018 down to the bottom of down here in 2020. We have this kind of three-wave structure. And in here there's even like another wave. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we have this identical pattern between 2018's bear market and 2022's bear market of ADA Bitcoin and how this is reacting. So we've seen similarities. We're seeing similarities. And when you're looking at a chart, I know people don't like technical analysis. They don't believe in charts. But the whole thing that we want to look for is patterns, similarities, and expectations. We see this expectation of this massive three-wave move here on ADA Bitcoin from last cycle. And in this cycle, we are seeing the same pattern of this massive three-wave move. So that's the first bullish thing that we can see, is that we've seen this move. When this move finishes, the next move is a massive upwards move. So based on this pattern and the continuation of the pattern, we're moving into a bottoming phase. That's going to be our second big bullish thing about Cardano, ADA Bitcoin. ADA Bitcoin is in this bottoming phase. It has this bottoming phase between 450 to 550 Satoshis, ADA to ADA Satoshi valuation. So right down here, it's about 450 Satoshis. Up here, it's about 550 Satoshis. And you have about 100 Satoshi range that ADA bottomed in last cycle here between late 2019, early 2020, before going parabolic. The biggest thing about this chart, if you're a retail investor, that I want you to take away from this video is that we have entered this phase over the past couple of weeks. You can see it down here. We've been in here about 4 weeks. 4 weeks, ADA Bitcoin has been in this 450 to 550 Satoshi valuation range. And in my opinion, because it's a bottoming phase, it could take, last cycle, it took, about, if we exclude kind of COVID, it took about 27 weeks for this bottoming phase to happen. If we kind of put this into today's terms, 27 weeks would put us at around April of 2025. So we have some time down here. And my big thing that I want retail investors to look at this and understand is that historically, this is the bottoming phase for ADA Bitcoin. We don't have a lot of data points, but historically, this is where it bottomed out. And then we are in that phase today. So if you're going to pick a time to start moving Bitcoin into ADA, or if you're questioning why should I be in ADA, why should I be in Cardano, this is the time of a lifetime. It takes years for it to get to this range. And after this range, historically, it moves right back up to the top of the ADA Bitcoin valuation. And so if there's ever a time to trade ADA or trade Bitcoin for ADA, that time is now in this bottoming phase. You're never going to get a better time to trade Bitcoin for ADA than what we have here today. So that's another major bullish thing. The last major bullish thing about ADA Bitcoin that I want to show you is the momentum that we have going on here. And the way I like to look at momentum, it is with RSIs and MACDs. What you can see here on the RSI, many people would call this a bullish divergence. We have continuation of upper momentum movement, higher lows, moving upwards on the RSI, while price, you can see while price has really just been falling right here in this area, especially price has just been falling, but our RSI is showing us something different. The same thing kind of happened back here in 2019. We had this move kind of right here with an upwards trajectory of RSI while ADA was still kind of chopping along here in our tradable range, in our really target zone for ADA Bitcoin. So we can see, like, for example, here in 2021 moving down to 2023, price is moving down, RSI is slowly moving down. But that's different here today. We have a divergence of price, and that's a big thing that people should be looking out for. This can throw false signals. So there's no perfect indication, but this is something I'm watching out for on the short term because we have all of this other stuff going on. We have the pattern going on, we have the bottoming phase going on, and now we have a divergence of RSI, and we have a MACD that is really starting to kind of get back into the green zone and curl. If this MACD can get above the 0, that is technically a very bullish indicator, a very bullish trend for ADA Bitcoin. And you can see at last cycle how this kind of played out similarly. Let me get this here. But you have this kind of getting bullish, coming back, getting bullish again in ADA Bitcoin. And what do we have kind of here today? We have getting bullish, kind of coming back, and kind of getting bullish again. So really, the biggest thing that we want to see happen here on the momentum is for ADA Bitcoin MACD to get above, and it'll probably come back and test the 0 line before going up again. So something like this, something like up, bend down, and then back up to all-time highs. So this is the ADA Bitcoin chart. Those are the three things that I think are really bullish about it. The one bearish thing that I would want to raise to your attention, since we're doing this and looking at this in the video, is that market timing is not the same as last cycle. There's a lot going on here with market timing that could be, we're just gonna have to see how it plays out because it's very hard to understand what's going on. So last cycle, when we crossed this top end trend line here at about 5,000 Satoshis, 5,200 Satoshis, it took us 77 weeks and 89% to get down to this bottom beginning trend line of about 550 Satoshis. Today, this cycle, it took us 160 weeks, 157 weeks. So about double the amount of time this cycle to go from top to bottom as it did last cycle. The reason I think this is really interesting and the reason why we don't know what's going to happen and we don't know what's going on is because then we take into account how long, even if we exclude this COVID section right here, Cardano was down in this bottoming phase for 27 weeks. Let's see if Cardano's down here for 27 weeks again, that would put this at April of 2025. Then, last cycle, it took 60 weeks, 65 weeks to go from bottom to top. And if we go from April 2025 to about 60 weeks out, 65 weeks out, that puts us in July of 2026. July of 2026. So the big bearish, the big weird big question mark I have with ADA Bitcoin. I think ADA Bitcoin's in a great bullish spot for a lot of Cardano investors because we've seen a similar pattern. We're in the bottoming phase. There's not a lot of reason to see ADA Bitcoin continue to drop below the lows that we're at now, especially moving into the 2025 year, which is like the last 8 months of the post-halving year, right? That's typically where altcoins see all the gains. And so the big question I want to ask people or raise up to you that I don't know the answer to is, do we have the same type of distance that we have here and the same time of distance that we have here, which will put our ADA Bitcoin all-time high out in mid-early 2026? Is this crypto cycle going to make it all the way to 2026? We don't really know. Or is ADA Bitcoin kind of going to sit down here for only a few weeks before rapidly increasing back up to the midpoint, back up to all-time highs over the course of 2025? And is it going to pack all of these moves into 2025 in a very rapid, velocity-fueled crypto bull market? That is the one thing that I don't know. That is the one thing that we are yet to answer, and we can keep tracking on this. Are we going to have a lengthened cycle, or is this whole cycle going to somehow fit within our current 4-year narrative? That's the big thing I want you to think about if you are a retail investor investing into ADA, into Cardano at this point. But with this ADA Bitcoin chart, we see ADA is bottoming on Bitcoin. It's a great time to swap Bitcoin for ADA over the whole relative term, and that is going to lead us into our ADA USD chart, which is we're going to show 3 more bullish things and 1 bearish thing, and then we're going to get to the price prediction after we stack all these on top of each other. This is now our ADA USD chart. We got it on a weekly time frame. It's a beautiful chart. I really love a lot of things that I see in this ADA Bitcoin chart. So let me go, or this ADA USD chart, I'm sorry. So let me go ahead and show you the 2 bullish things that I have for ADA USD. So then we can talk about the 1 bearish thing, which is already starting to get wiped out because of Donald Trump winning the election here in the United States. So the 2 bullish things I want to talk about is that ADA, let me reset this here. ADA is only going up. And that is a shocking thing to say. I know, I'm a Cardano investor, and I see this stuff on social media, and everyone's like, ADA is an underperformer, ADA is lagging behind and all this, right? And yeah, compared to some coins, it has underperformed, like Solana, SWI, some major meme coins. But man, ADA is continuing to go up, and it has been going up only actually for the last year. So let me show you this. This is June 2023, ADA was down here at the low of this cycle at about 21-22 cents. Since then, ADA, Cardano, has only gone up against the dollar. And we have this beautiful upwards trend line here. Diagonal trend lines are not as reliable as horizontal trend lines, but we have one that has been honored here by Cardano. And I want to show you the tags of it. So it tagged it here in 21 cents in June 2023. It tagged it here in October 2023 at 23 cents. It's tagging it here August 2024 at 27 cents, and we are yet to tag it again. So I look at this and, you know, people say Cardano's some dead, dying coin. I don't see that. I see price only going upwards. And typically with dead and dying coins, you see a long sloping tail end. Cardano does not have this. This is a logarithmic chart. It is building new lows or higher lows on a macro basis. This was last cycle in 2020. This is the current cycle in 2024. From here, we're just going to step up, up, and up over the cycles, and it's not some long dying chain. So for me, price is only going up from the bottom, from the ultimate bottom Cardano had, and that to me is a really bullish thing because I like Cardano, I like the ecosystem, and this price is validating to me that other people agree. The second thing is that momentum is really on our side as Cardano investors. So let me show you the same momentum things that I like to look at here. And when we look at the monthly chart here, we can see this very well. The momentum on the RSI is only going up, similar with price. The momentum on the MACD down here is starting to flip dark green again. And this is really just happening this week. This is a monthly chart now, but it's really happening this week with the price appreciation that a lot of altcoins are seeing. So we come back to the weekly chart here, and of course the line's going to be all messed up now. But we have this continuation of upwards trend from down here all the way up here. And to me, that's a great sign. On the MACD, we have the same thing. We can see when Bitcoin was really pushing to that 70,000 range for the first time, right before the halving, Cardano did flip very bullish on the MACD, and we've had a slight retracement. But to me, that's not a huge deal, especially because Cardano is now coming back in to its prime and really showing us flipping back to green. And so once this MACD crosses this zero line, I think we'll have a lot more upwards price momentum. But last cycle, kind of the same thing. This was the bottoming cycle of Cardano last cycle against USD. And you can see we came bullish, we went bearish, we came bullish, we went bearish, we went bullish again. So it's kind of this, has like this little chop wave pattern. And even if we take this section of COVID out, we see the same thing happening again. Cardano comes down, and it came down massively in 2021, 2022, and it's starting to build its way back up again, making kind of these slight dips below, but ultimately I think Cardano will continue to rise much higher because of the momentum, because of the price direction, and because of, to me, this overall price chart. It is a bullish chart. We're not seeing a long tail end of destruction for ADA. ADA did go to lows, all coins went to lows, and it's slowly been grinding higher. The bearish thing about Cardano that I want to share about the ADA USD chart is this zone of resistance. This zone of resistance right here. And we can switch to the monthly chart to start out. But in my opinion, Cardano is kind of in a hot zone right now. It's in a hot zone for a few reasons. Let me add a Fibonacci here to kind of show you. But this area here, we have this 36 to 34 cent area that Cardano has been playing around in for the last few months. It's been holding this Fibonacci 786 line at 34 cents pretty well, dipping below it a little bit, and then we have this diagonal kind of squeezing it in there. But when you flip to the weekly chart, you can see ADA has been coming down a little bit. What I like is that every couple weeks it is regaining and kind of getting back above, and that's what we just had this week. The biggest thing I want to see for Cardano's price is to get out of this zone and kind of move back up here into these 40, 50, 60 cent areas, getting away from this trend line, getting above new levels, and kind of getting some separation, because I do think this is a hot zone for Cardano. It also becomes a hot zone when I share some like the moving averages. You can see these moving averages here. This yellow one is a 20-week SMA. The most important one is the one that we're currently touching against. This is a 100-week. This dark orange is a 100-week SMA, currently holding as resistance that we're tapping against. This moving average is at 39.5 cents. So if we break above that, I think that's a very, very bullish sign. And let me show you why. This 100-week moving average, when we got above it last cycle right here, we only went up. And so we did break above it here when Bitcoin was going to 70,000 for the first time right before the halving, but it was short-lived. We were not able to maintain above it. So the big thing I want to see Cardano do is get above the 100-week moving average on the weekly chart and really solidify itself with upwards price momentum. After that, after all those things happen, the next area of resistance, the next large area of resistance is going to be, let's go back to the monthly chart, is going to be the major Fibonacci retracement here from the low of 2020 to the high of 2021. It gives us this Fibonacci right here at 69, basically 70 cents. 70 cents right here. Between 70 cents and 80 cents to me is another very hot zone that ADA is going to have to push through in order to get up to $1, $2, $3, $5, all those next levels that we want to talk about. Right now, this area right here is a hot zone for Cardano, and to me, I'm not really afraid of it. I like the zone that we're in. I think it's a great accumulation zone with the ADA Bitcoin chart bottoming, with ADA USD still at undervalued levels. And once we break this resistance, I think, in my opinion, that does occur, Cardano will start to get very hot very fast. But this is a hot zone you want to watch. And if something's going to break and fail in Cardano, it's going to be right here. If you see ADA dropping back below kind of this 34 to 36 cent level, dropping below this trend line, moving back down below 30 cents, down to 29, 27, 25 cents, we are in a lot of trouble. But so far, not happening. This is the bearish scenario. This is what I would watch if I were you. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's talk price predictions. Where is ADA going to go? Where can Cardano go this cycle? And can we get above all-time high to $3, $5, $7, $8, $11? Where is it going to go? Now, how do we get to our maximum price prediction? Well, in order to do that, I want to show you one other chart real quick. The Ethereum chart from last cycle. And I want to show you this thing right here. This is a trend-based Fibonacci extension. It basically means based on the cycle before, where do you think that the price can get in the next cycle? So when we look at this, what I did here is I took the 2018 bull market top and I did trend-based Fibonacci extension from the 2016 low to the 2018 high down to the 2019 low. And this gave us an extension and showed us what price got to in 2021. This is the 2021 top here. And you can see that Ethereum got between its 2.618 extension and its 3.618 extension, this purple box here. So I want to show you Cardano's version of this. And even if Cardano doesn't get up to the purple extension, what happens if it gets to the 2.618 extension? What happens if it gets to the 1.618 extension, right? Even if Cardano does not perform as well as Ethereum did in 2021, maybe we don't have as big of a cycle or something like that, or there's not as much hype or whatever reason, where can Cardano go based on this information? So this is very valuable information to me when trying to figure out where assets are going to go based on historical price action and historical cycles. So let's do this. Over here on TradingView, you can get trend-based Fibonacci extension, the 2020 low to the 2021 top down to our, what is this, 2021 low. Where does that put ADA up here? You're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked, okay? Let me show you. When we look at the Fibonacci extension, the realistic expectation, like many people don't think Cardano is going to break the all-time high. I think it will based on all the things that we kind of laid out in this video and all the things going on in Cardano. Bitcoin OS, Chang hard fork. You know, we have smart contracts, we have DeFi, we have like governance and a total government. Cardano is getting input endorsers and parallel processing. Literally everything in the roadmap is coming true in Cardano. And to me, that is just incredible. Cardano has amazing meme coins. It has great NFT projects with great utility. To me, Cardano is a tier 1 ecosystem and will get that recognition. And so because of that, you know, we have our all-time high here at about $3 with our one Fibonacci at $3.43. Now, if Cardano were to do the same thing this cycle that Ethereum did last cycle, it would range between the 2.618 and the 3.618, and currently the 2.618 is around $8.50. The 3.618 is around $11.8. So based on this chart, trend-based Fibonacci extension, past cycle of Ethereum, past cycle of Cardano, current cycle of Cardano, you could expect maybe a price of Cardano between $9 and $10, between $8 and $11 up in this range at the very, very top of the cycle. Okay. That's really awesome. But what if it doesn't get there? Okay, let's be a little more realistic. So we could have a price all the way up here at $11. That could happen. Buying ADA today at 35 cents to $11 is like a 20x, right? That's an incredible return on your investment. Now, if Cardano doesn't get this high, and let's say it gets between the 1.618 to the 2.618, very realistic based on Ethereum's last cycle, based on what we've seen last cycle. And so we have our 1.618 at $5 and our 2.618 at $8. If you don't want to be as optimistic up here, you can sit down here and say, okay, Cardano could definitely get to $5. That's the 1.618, or it can get to $7, somewhere between this range. Why is that not possible with what we've seen in previous cycles on other assets in crypto? And so this is how I'm getting my ultimate price predictions. Is maybe you don't wait until $11 to sell it all in case we don't get there. Maybe you do peel off some at 3, peel off some at 5, peel off some at 7, peel off some at 10, right? It's up to you how you decide to do it, what you decide to do with this information. But realistically, you could see a possible scenario where ADA gets to $5, $8, maybe even $10 to $11. And so that is my Cardano price prediction, my ultimate price prediction on where ADA can go this cycle in 2025. There's a lot of questions up in the air that it's impossible to answer today on a random day in 2024. But these are the numbers I'm realistically looking at. Cardano is holding great support in an upwards momentum, even though sometimes it feels like it's going slower. Cardano has certain resistance levels it needs to get above. And then after we get through that, I think ADA's bottoming on Bitcoin, and the ADA chart against the USD is primed for explosive growth because it's undervalued. As an investor, I look for value. I look for undervalued asset, and I've seen Cardano become infinitely better than it was in 2021, and price has yet to catch up. The market has yet to catch up. So I'm in Cardano before the market catches up. I don't know if we go to $3.50, $5, $8, or $11, but I can see a scenario where every single one of those comes true and I start peeling money off at each of those intervals. So that's what I plan on doing. That's how I'm looking at this. Anywhere between a $3 and $11 ADA price, realistically between a $5 and $11 price. So that's what I'm looking at. That's how I got here. Those are the things I look at in every single analysis that I do across all of crypto. It's in the Crypto 100x blueprint if you want more details and you want follow-up emails about this topic. But that's where I think ADA is going, and I am not shy about saying it. I don't want to lie and say that it's definitely going to $7, it's definitely going to $8. I don't know. We'll have to see when the market gets there, see how the timing of the market plays out, because I do think that there's a realistic scenario where this cycle gets a little longer than we think. Maybe it pushes into 2026. I'm not really sure. We'll have to watch and see and wait, but we can make more videos as we move into that area. But realistically, I see ADA continuing to go up and continuing to break all-time high. That's my video. That's the ultimate Cardano price prediction. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree, if you think that there's better analysis to be had or what I could do differently. But ultimately, ADA is going up in my opinion. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't gotten the Crypto 100x blueprint, download it now. It's absolutely free. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.